The crystal glass rang out, silencing the clatter of forks on my mother's good china. All eyes turned to my sister, Celia, her smile sharp enough to cut the tension. "To Mom," she began, her voice saccharine sweet, "for showing us what a true legacy looks like. A husband, grandchildren, a family that continues." Her gaze, cold and triumphant, locked onto me. "And for her endless patience with those of us who take a more scenic route." A beat of silence. Then my father chuckled. My brother-in-law, Paul, smirked into his napkin. My mother, the birthday queen at the head of the table, didn't correct her. She just looked at me with a sigh that was a weapon in itself. "We just dream of seeing you settled, Margaret. This contentment you claim to have. It's a brave face, darling. We see the loneliness underneath." The words didn't land like a slap. They seeped in like poison, freezing me from the inside out. My own family. The 7 people in this world whose approval I'd spent a lifetime craving. They saw my year of profound self-discovery, my pottery classes, my solo trip to Portugal, the peace I'd cultivated in my own quiet apartment as a pathetic pantomime. A brave face. The meal continued, their conversation a dull roar in my ears. I was a ghost at the feast, a living, breathing pity project. 2 days later, they were in my living room. An unannounced delegation, Mom, Dad, Celia. "We love you too much to watch this," my father started, his voice gruff with faux concern. My mother produced a folder. "We took the liberty," she said gently, as if handing me a life raft. Inside were printouts of 3 men's profiles. A colleague's son, a wonderful dentist. His family has a lake house. Celia nodded, her arm draped over the back of my sofa, claiming territory. "It's time, Maggie. Stop playing house by yourself." A quiet, terrifying calm settled over me. I closed the folder. "No." The word was simple, absolute, their faces contorted in shock. "This is not a discussion," my father boomed. "It's an intervention." "And I am intervening," I said, my voice steady, foreign even to me. "In your attempt to run my life, my happiness is not yours to design." The silence was volcanic. My mother's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of frustration. I had broken the script. The barrage began, text chains lighting up with "You're breaking your mother's heart." Voicemails from Celia, "So dramatic, we're family." An email from Dad with the subject line, "Practical concerns." I read them all, felt the old hooks trying to set. Then I did the unthinkable. I muted the family chat. I saved the voicemails to a folder I labeled "Do Not Listen." I drafted one reply. "I am taking space to live my life as I choose. I will reach out when I'm ready." I blocked them for 2 weeks. The first morning of silence was a hollow ache. The second, a strange lightness. By the 5th, I woke at dawn, made coffee, and sat watching the sky change color. There was no one to perform for, no one to reassure. The peace was immense. I dug out an old sketchbook from college, labeled for myself someday, filled with half-formed dreams. A ceramic studio, a master's degree, a cottage garden. The most whimsical dream in the book, throwing pottery on a wheel. I found a studio offering a 6-week intensive. My hands, used to typing and nervous fidgeting, learned the centering clay. The physicality of it, the messy, focused joy, was a balm. I made lopsided bowls and called them art. The sketchbook became my Bible. I researched part-time master's programs in horticultural therapy. I calculated budgets. This wasn't a rebellion. It was a strategic, joyful reconstruction. I was building a life, brick by brick, for an audience of one. At the pottery studio, I met Anya, a widow in her 60s with a wicked laugh and zero patience for nonsense. She became my first cheerleader. "Family," she snorted, seeing a toxic text preview on my locked screen. "The people who hold the ladder should cheer you up it, not shake the damn thing." Her friendship was unconditional, a new template for connection. I wasn't looking for it, but I saw the listing online. A tiny, run-down gardener's cottage on the edge of town. Overgrown, but with a south-facing sunroom perfect for plants. A "For Sale by Owner" sign. It felt like a sign. I used the wedding fund, money my grandparents had left me, the money everyone assumed would be for a dress, as a down payment. After a month, I unblocked my phone. The voicemail box was full. The tone had shifted. From anger to wheedling, "We just miss you," to concern. One from my father, his voice tired. "Your mother, she's not herself. This separation is harder on her than she'll admit." The guilt was a trained reflex. I acknowledged it and let it pass. Celia texted, "Can you call me? It's important. Not about Mom." I didn't call, but I heard through my cousin that Paul had lost his job, and the perfect couple was drowning in credit card debt and constant fights. The pressure they directed at me was now imploding their own showcase life. A package arrived, my mother's handwriting. Inside, a beautiful leather-bound journal. The note read, "For writing down your dreams since you seem to have so many now. Love, Mom." It was an elegant guilt trip, a suggestion my dreams were childish fantasies. I gave the journal to Anya. She used it to press wildflowers. At the farmer's market, I saw them, Celia and Paul by the berry stand. Their faces were tight masks of rage, whispering ferociously. He grabbed her arm, she wrenched it away. People glanced over. The curated Instagram perfection was a lie. I slipped away unseen, my heart pounding not with schadenfreude but with a grim clarity. I moved into the cottage. The first night, I lit a fire in the grate I'd cleaned myself, ate soup from my own lopsided bowl, and felt a sense of belonging so deep it brought tears to my eyes. This was mine. No one's gift, no one's concession. Mine. The call came from my father's number, late on a Tuesday. "Margaret, it's your mother. She's in the hospital. It's her heart." The world dropped out from under me. Every boundary, every triumph felt absurd. The dutiful daughter was summoned, and she answered. In the sterile light, my mother looked small. The diagnosis, a severe panic attack that mimicked a heart attack. The doctor, speaking to us in the hall, was gentle but firm, often brought on by extreme, sustained stress. She mentions family tensions. The glance flicked between me, Celia, and Dad. I was no longer the sole identified patient. In the grim hospital cafeteria, my father, looking older than I'd ever seen him, stirred cold coffee. "She doesn't know how to be," he muttered, not to me, but to the table. "You were always her project, and Celia's life was the proof her method worked. Now you're happy off plan, and Celia," he trailed off. The unspoken truth about her crumbling marriage hanging in the air. It's all fallen apart. I visited my mother. I brought flowers from my own garden. We made stilted conversation. Celia was brittle, shooting me looks that blamed me for the tectonic shift in the family universe. I was polite. I was present. But the cord that once bound my sense of self to their approval had been severed. I felt it dangling, harmless. I received my acceptance letter into the horticultural therapy master's program. That same week, I sold my first set of pottery, a dinner service, to a local boutique. 2 dreams made tangible. I framed the acceptance letter and placed it next to a photo of my cottage. A year after the toast, I sent out formal invitations. Elegant, simple cards. "You are invited to a housewarming, to see the life I've built. Saturday at 4, Margaret." It was not an olive branch. It was a declaration of independence engraved. They came, all of them, driven by a potent mix of obligation, curiosity, and dread. I saw them take in the cottage, the thriving jungle in the sunroom, the pottery on the shelves, the books, the framed sketches and certificates. It was the physical manifestation of everything they'd dismissed. My mother's eyes were wide. I served them a meal grown from my garden and my own hands. A roasted vegetable tart in a dish I'd thrown. Herbal tea from my own mint. I spoke not of being single, but of being full. I talked about my studies, the patients I hoped to help, the quiet satisfaction of a well-thrown pot. My joy was a living, breathing entity in the room. It required no partner to validate it. As dusk fell, wine loosened the locks. Celia, needled by the visible proof of my peace, made a snide comment about Paul's job search. He fired back, a hissed argument about debt and unrealistic expectations erupting in my living room, shattering the last pretense. My father put his head in his hands. My mother looked from their unraveling to my calm, steady presence behind the counter, a bastion of stability I had built. The understanding dawned on her face, devastating and complete. "Oh," she whispered, almost to herself. "You were never lost. We were trying to fix the wrong person." I walked them to their cars. The night air was cool. I hugged my parents, a firm, finite goodbye. Celia and Paul left separately in 2 cars. I stood in the driveway of my sanctuary, watching their taillights disappear. The next morning, I was in my sunroom, repotting a fern. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Not a demand, not a critique. A simple, seismic message. The lavender in your garden is beautiful. How do you keep it so alive? I smiled, my hands deep in the rich, dark soil. I finished my task, washed my hands, and typed back my first, true lesson from my single journey. You have to give it space, its own soil, and trust that it knows how to grow. I hit send and went back to my plants, my pots, my peaceful, unexpected, deeply proving joy.